Good morning, my fellow World Communications Charter School students. My name is Shamori from Southwest Philadelphia, and I'm a senior at World Communications Charter School. I have Mr. Parker here. Would you like to introduce yourself, Mr. Parker?
Well, as Shamori said, my name is Mr. Parker. I'm a mathematics teacher here at World Communications Charter School, and I'm honored to have the opportunity to help him out with his senior project and answer a few questions.
Good. We're going to begin by first. I want to say my lengthy project was about many things, but we're going to touch bases on the Federal Reserve, which is a comfortable subject Mr. Parker would like to talk about. So I have some questions I would like to ask you and get an answer from, okay? Good. I'm going to start off by asking, what is your understanding of the Federal Reserve, Mr. Parker?
Well, my understanding of the Federal Reserve is that it is a corporate entity, even though it's like a quasi-governmental corporate entity that has power over the money supply. The chairman of the board of governors of the Federal Reserve has probably more power than the president of the United States, more power than most politicians on the federal level. They basically control the money supply. They control interest rates, which in turn, of course, interest is the price of money and the cost of money. So by controlling the interest rate, they're controlling how businesses are able to get loans to do new development, new construction, whether how much it's going to cost to build new prisons for African American males, since they want to lock us all up and keep control of us that way. So the Federal Reserve does a lot of things. I mean, it gets into quantitative easing, which is something very important that the media doesn't want us to really think about. But that basically just means that they can just print more money. Like when I was in elementary school and we were introduced to the concept of inflation. We said as children, thinking it was a good idea to just tell them to print more money, and our teachers told us, well, they can't do that because of inflation. But in fact, that is in fact what the Federal Reserve does. They just print more money.
Very good. Which brings me to my next question. How is the system a direct connection to the white power structure?
Well, we have to look back to how America was founded and the principles that it was founded upon, the principles of white supremacy, principles of Western capitalism. We look into Adam Smith's famous book, The Wealth of Nations, where he lays out the economic plan for the development of the Western Hemisphere, which of course was built on the backs of African slaves, taken from West Africa and throughout other parts of Africa and brought to the West Indies, brought to present-day South America, brought to the current-day United States, and how our labor really developed capitalism, really developed the banking system, because there would be no money without our work and our labor. So they definitely had to have an organized way. The so-called founding fathers needed an organized way to account for all of the money that they were making, because they were making hand over fist. Of course, we learned about the Industrial Revolution and everything in our history classes, and all that came from off the backs of our ancestors, and we still do this today,
Good. Very, very, very interesting. Which brings me to my last question, Mr. Parker. How do you feel about the Federal Reserve being a non-government corporation and in control of the U.S. money supply?
Well, I mean, it makes sense considering the goal of this nation and the goals of as I said, the so-called founding fathers, and how their idea was to create a place for white men with money and with property to basically have a playground. And basically have a place. They wanted to get out of Europe and take advantage of the resources throughout the rest of the world, and open up the Western Hemisphere, and also to be able to weaken the continent of Africa by extracting so many people from it, and then be able to access those resources in the continent of Africa. The Federal Reserve not even being governmental, it makes sense, because then you have fascism, and throughout Western modernity, since the advance of capitalism in the past 500 years, a lot of times you have corporate structures that are in control and are making major decisions. Nazi Germany was fascist. The United States today is fascist. That's why you have corporate executives that really make major decisions that affect all of our lives, more so than government entities. And you have lobbyists that basically go to Washington, D.C. and cut checks so that laws that will benefit their business and their corporations will get passed, and others that will harm their business and their profit motives will not get passed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Parker. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.